I'm gonna have to split this into 2 different videos. Actually, I think I will. Hello and welcome to another video. This is part 2 of Q&A 2020 because it just became way too long. Hello and welcome to another video with me, Elmo Karjalainen. You can call me this guy if that name is tricky to pronounce. Today we're doing part 2 of Q&A because, yeah, part 1 just became way too long. And we'll have part 3 where I do guitar specific stuff where I might need a guitar. So let's just dive right in, shall we? Brad asks, problems you had while gigging and what you did about them. Well, an amp blowing up once. Borrowed the amp of another band that was playing that evening. And since then, I always keep a spare amp with me. Can't really remember too many problems while gigging. Other than driving 8 hours somewhere, boredom is a problem. So you do whatever it takes, basically, not to be too bored. You have a laugh with your mates.
Oh, you have a laugh with your mates. Haha, jolly good sport.
I remember once we did a gig, it was just 2 of us, in a local pub, and there was a fight which went on for, I don't know how long. We were supposed to do 4.5 sets, and it was me playing guitar and my friend Marco playing keyboards and singing, and the whole first set, 2 guys were fighting, and a woman was intervening every now and then, but they were so drunk that they didn't manage to do anything, and the pub didn't have a bouncer, and the bartender was skinnier than I am, so he couldn't do anything because these guys were still fairly big, and that just went on and on and on and on and on, and we were like, what's the point of this? And there was basically no one else in the pub. There were a few people sat far away in a corner who didn't care about what we did, and I remember the mixer we had was a Dynacord PowerMate, which had a fuse that was in a kind of holder with a spring, so when you could use your pick to just unscrew it, and then it would pop out, and the whole mixer went dark. So during the break, I forget exactly, maybe it was first set was fine, second set was not so fine, and during the third sets we had a discussion beforehand that if this goes on, we'll just unscrew the fuse when no one's looking and say, that thing broke, we can't play because everything goes through that except for my guitar. And that's exactly what we did. No one was looking, I did that. They were still fighting. Over an hour, I think they were. Well, on and off, they can't have been fighting all the time. I forget the details, but it was incredible. So we solved that problem by breaking our mixer. Yeah, it was ridiculous. I haven't had too many problems when gigging. Strings breaking, okay, so I put fresh strings on every now and again, and I have a spare guitar, and I got really good at changing strings quickly. Or A string, restringing. Try to keep spares of pretty much everything that I can. You can't have a spare cab because that's just too much stuff to carry around. But basically everything else I have a spare. Jimmy asks, I turned 50 in March. That's not really a question, Jimmy. Oh, but he goes on. I really want to start a band, but have been out of the scene for 20+ years. Do you have any advice for how to reconnect to the music business so late in life? Well, what I think you should look to do is... depends on where you live. Go watch shows where they play the kind of music that you're into, and meet people and talk to people, that kind of thing. Ask around if you have a music store in town that sells instruments. Talk to the people who work there. Yeah, I think that's about it. We have in Finland something called, it's an internet page where you can sell musicians selling second-hand stuff and services, and you can also find bandmates that way. So kind of classified ads, I guess. So if you have something like that in your area, then that would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. Go out, see bands, talk to people, interact. It's a social thing. Dave asks, what do you think about the occult and its pervasiveness in music? And do you think it plays a role in the music business and the way it operates? Well, what do I think about the occult? I don't think about the occult. And its pervasiveness in music? I don't know. And do you think it plays a role in the music business and the way it operates? I don't know. I think what makes a big difference in the music business is greed, pure and simple. And it screws things up. Next one we have Joe. Where do you rate Roy Buchanan on the guitar list? And would love to hear you Roy's blues. Probably wants me to play Roy's blues. Where do I rate Roy Buchanan? Well, he's certainly a very good guitar player. I had a stretch where I actually did listen to him a bit, but I don't know how to rate anyone on any kind of list. I did a top 10 of the best guitarists ever, and yeah, I don't know, it's just, he's very good. Let's just say that he's very good. Did I say he's very good? He's very good. Okay, and Tim asks, do you have any guitars you really want to try or buy that you don't have yet? A 7-string Strat, which would have to be custom made with Yngwie Malmsteen style pickups. That would be good. I'd like to try out a Music Man Luke. I haven't tried one of those. They look really nice and sound really nice. Oh, acoustics. Many acoustics. I would like more acoustic guitars, but the good ones, they really cost a lot. If you think electric guitars are expensive, good electrics, try an acoustic, because that's a whole different ball game. How old are the children you teach? 13 to 16. Would you recommend teaching music as a way to earn a living in music? Absolutely not, or yes. Depends on the type of person you are, and depends what are you going to teach? Are you going to teach one-on-one lessons? Are you going to teach music in school or to groups? Personally, I don't know if you live in the States, the school system there, I gather it's not great. In Finland, it's fine, but it's also very school specific. So you can end up in a school that's not very nice, where, let's say, your colleagues aren't great, and you could end up in a place where your colleagues are brilliant. Kids, they can vary depending on all sorts of things. The school I teach in, we get a kind of cross-section of every socio-economic group, as it were. So we have kids who are really well off and kids who are really not at all well off, which makes it a kind of diverse place, which is nice. But if you take teaching one-on-one, I would recommend teaching one-on-one if you get to pick and choose who you teach. So I had this problem where I taught guitar playing one-on-one, but I did it through an institute of some sort. So I wasn't free to fire my students. They paid the institute and I got a salary from them, which made it really like, it's so boring sitting half an hour with a kid who hasn't practiced the instrument. What do? And if you have a group of people who don't care, you can at least talk about some other stuff while you do the music thing. So if any class of 20 kids, there will always be something fun going on. Whereas when you teach one-on-one, if it happens to be a person you don't really hit it off with for some reason, it's really boring. These days I teach so that the students pay me, which also means I can say, if you're not going to practice, you don't have to come. I get paid less, of course, but I don't like doing it for the money. Money is important only in the sense that if you have none, you don't eat, and that can lead to health issues like death. So yeah, I would recommend it, depending on what sort of person you are and what the setting would be. Carl asks, who is your favorite Finnish artist band? Tough one. I'll go with Vesa-Matti Loiri, Finnish singer who also played pool and beat the Finnish #1 in boxing and played football on almost professional level and water polo, I think, and played the flute and is also an actor. He has a great voice. Just being forced to say someone on the spot, I would say him. Question 2. Finland has a great history in Formula 1 Grand Prix racing with Keijo, Keke, Roosberg, Mika Häkkinen and Kimi Räikkönen and Nico Roosberg all becoming champions. Yes. Is it a sport you follow? How long have you been watching it? And who is your favorite driver? Sorry to disappoint, I don't like it at all. I did back when I was, I think, a teenager. And Nigel Mansell was driving. He was good, but yeah, not since. Question 3. Rallying is also a favorite sport of the Finns with multiple champions and a long history of drivers. And then we get the list. Is this a sport you follow and who is your favorite driver? Again, no, I don't. I know these names. Mäkinen, Aaltonen, Toivonen, Vatanen, Mikkola, Aleen, Kankkunen and so on. Only because, yeah, they were on the news. Sorry, don't really like car sports. Michael asks, have you toured in the USA lately? No. Last time I was to the States, at the moment I've been there twice, the first and the last time, which was in 2016. I went to Miami and played in the Guitar Gods festival that Yngve Malmsteen had, which was a competition, and the final was in Miami. Great experience. I've never had that much fun. I got to meet Yngve and meet a whole bunch of great, cool people. It was fun, but I've never toured in the States. Never toured abroad at all, actually. I did make my living as a professional musician touring for a year, but that was playing Finnish dance music and it drove me nuts. I was miserable, so I stopped doing that. Okay, and then we have Brad, who asks 10 different questions, and these are really odd. Hi Brad. Brad was actually one of the guys in the Guitar Gods competition. So, let's go. Brad's questions. What's the meaning of life? 42. Will I ever make money playing music? Now keep in mind that I know Brad personally, so I'm not just saying this to a random person. Brad, knowing you, probably never. What's your favorite color? 5. How do you feel about seagulls?
We are just good friends.
If squirrels were birds, how many mozzarella sticks would you eat? 5. Is bass guitar even a musical instrument? Brad, in your hands, nothing is. Do you get any pussy because of your YouTube channel? I don't know what cats have to do with YouTube, but we have 2 cats, but I've had cats before this YouTube channel. If the answer was yes, do you recommend having a YouTube channel? If you like cats, Brad, absolutely. 9. Do you drink... Do you drink gender fluid? What? What's that? I don't know. Should Yngve Malmsteen be the next king of Sweden? Absolutely, Brad. Yes, those were Brad's questions. Brad is a funny guy. I'll link to his YouTube channel. He has some nice music on there. Plays guitar. Does it quite well. Randy asks, my question is, when are you coming to America, preferably Michigan, so we across the pond can go to one of your concerts? Sad to say, Randy, I don't think it'll happen. Honestly, I don't. I mean, one-off, sure, that could happen. But there are no plans. I have no desire to start touring with instrumental guitar music, because the market is so small for that kind of thing. I could tour with a singer, and yeah, let's see with the progressive metal record we're making what happens. But yeah, progressive metal is also really big among the kids. Richard asks, how old are you? Well, I've been playing since I was 11. I've been playing for 14 years, so I'm 41. Who influenced you? Well, apart from the names already mentioned, I would have to say, and apart from the obvious ones like Vi, Satriani and those guys, I would have to say Steve Lukather, Jeff Beck, Genesis, Devin Townsend, Pat Metheny, people like that, and even people like Elton John and all those guys, Queen, yeah, Meshuggah. So it's really varied. What bands have you played in? I've played in a few different bands. Death Like Silence was a band where we had a radio hit, and we did a couple of albums that charted in Finland. You can find a couple of videos on YouTube. I play in a band called Seagrave, and we have one album out, second one in the making actually, yeah, forgot about that. And I play in a band called Kilpi, and we have a project called Insomaniac at the moment, which is really made up of more than just me. And I've played in a band called 3CM, where we butchered classics and well, all sorts of different things. Yeah. And the last question, do you like coffee, tea or beer? Yes, please. Okay, so since recording this video, I had a couple more questions and they were on Patreon, so I thought I'd add them in. The first one is from Mark, and Mark asks, what's the band you're in about, song list, lineup, gigs, etc. before? So, well, I play in a couple of different bands. Let's take the main one, Kilpi. Basically two main ones. Kilpi would be one, and Helena and Kalevi would be the other. Helena and Kalevi is basically an acoustic we're a duo with 3 members. It started out as a duo and I came and joined later on, so it's 2 acoustic guitars, me and Janne Laaksonen from Kilpi, and then Maija Liittokivi, a very good singer. We do covers, everything from ABBA to Wasp. Kilpi consists of Petteri Kilpi, Tage Laiho, Jussi Kattelus on drums, Janne Laaksonen on bass, and myself on the other guitar. Petteri Kilpi plays guitar and Tage sings. Well, we haven't been having gigs with Kilpi now. We had 2018 was our 15-year anniversary. I've not been in the band from the beginning, but we decided to take a break after that, so there's not been much going on. Helena and Kalevi, we have gigs on a semi-regular basis during the weekends. But that kind of brings us to the next question, which was what's the music scene like in Finland? And it's really difficult. I think I mentioned it in maybe this Q&A or the previous part 1. We're few and far between people, that is. So Finland is a large country geographically, but in terms of population, we're only just over 5 million, 5.5 I think. And that means there's not so lots of places to go and play. Festivals, yes, we have festivals in the summer, but you don't really live off festivals because summer is like 3 months here. Festival season maybe 2.5 months. And if you're supposed to live on 2.5 months, well, you better have some good gigs coming. And basically I think it's very hard for anyone to tour in Finland these days, and that sucks. Basically, people under 30, they don't go and watch live music. That's a generalization, but that's the trend that's been happening in the last 10 years. Less and less young people have been going to watch live shows. Do I play all the instruments on my tracks? Mostly. And the follow-up, the drumming sounds real, but is it? The drumming sounds real. Partly it is real, partly not. My dad's a drummer, so I've been listening to drums for all of my life. So I do try to make the programmed drum sounds very unlike what Yngwie Malmsteen does, because his drums, the programmed ones on his new album, sound absolutely horrible. They're so terrible, it's just mind-boggling. So I try to make them sound like real drums, and yeah, I prefer a real drummer when I can, but that goes back to what's the music scene like in Finland, because the few people who can actually play the stuff that I write, they mostly live in Helsinki, and I live in Turku, which is, it's 2 hours away, but still, getting someone to play on my tracks would basically have to be free, because you're not gonna make too much money selling this music anyway, and I could pay someone, but that would cost a lot, and I decided to go with just programming the parts where I don't actually know personally here in Turku a drummer who can do it. And it's all kinds of scheduling stuff and all that, and it's really a convenience thing, because I like to work fast. Yeah, but I am leaning more and more towards real drummers, because it's just so much more fun. And what is your favorite color? Well, that depends. If it's a guitar, it's not black, but if it's clothes, it's probably black. If it's your favorite football team, it's red, and they come from Manchester. It all depends. For some reason, I don't really like black guitars. If it's a Strat, candy apple red is really nice, or then the kind of, what's it called? The creamy color that Yngwie Malmsteen has on his Strats. I like that, and then I like a natural finish as well, where the wood shines through. And clothes, it's black, dark.
Black like the soul of my mother.
Oh, she's alright. So yeah, that's about it. Those were the questions in Question and Answer 2020 Part 2. Forgot one influence, that would be Monty Python. Yeah, that's the way it goes. You can always ask more questions if you want to, if I get loads more. Or if I get frequently asked questions, then I might start doing frequently asked questions videos. Yeah, that's about it. So I hope you liked this. Click like if you did, subscribe if you haven't already. I think you've subscribed already if you've made it this far. Join me on Patreon. Hey, you get all of my music for free and a bunch of exclusives for free if you want it for free. If you want to pay, that's great. Comment, let me know what you thought and all of that, and I hope to see you in another video. Take care. Goodbye.